Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Justin Melson with Happyfox Productions, and today we're going to be doing a really exciting tutorial. In that tutorial, it's going to be covering advanced cloning effects. Now, this was a heavily requested tutorial in my last cloning tutorial, so let's go on ahead and show you guys what we're going to be doing today. So let's take a look.
I know you, Vladimir. Not the killing type. Never were.
Maybe I should, comrade. You just killed that cop back there, man. He was a wild stallion. He had 16 kids. I have to take you in, or else my boss will go crazy. But I'm confused. How am I a criminal and a cop? Well, I'm Russian, so I guess it kind of makes sense.
Alrighty, so as you could see, that was a cloning effect. That was two actors. That was this guy, and he does not have a twin, just to clarify that. So that was completely done within After Effects, and we did not use a green screen or blue screen or anything, although that sounds cool, like, yo, yeah, we didn't even use a green screen, but in hindsight, we should have, because that's going to save us a whole lot of work. But yeah, so this is a film that we did about a year ago, and I really haven't done this effect in over a year, so bear with me. I'm going to be kind of doing this for the first time while you guys are watching, because I did this effect over a year ago, so I have to kind of refresh my memory. But so first, to start off, just to talk a bit about how we filmed the shot. So here we are inside of DaVinci Resolve, and the reason I'm inside of DaVinci Resolve is because we filmed this raw in 2.5K raw with the Blackmagic Cinema camera, and so I needed to debayer the footage and get it into a usable codec for this tutorial, so I exported it to H.264 out of DaVinci. So we're just going to preview the raw file. So this is the first shot that we filmed on set. So this is the actor. We had him dressed up in his prison break uniform, and we basically just timed everything.
Actually, let's redo that one. Sorry, that's my fault.
So we just had him have his hands up.
Action. He's in front of you.
And I just directed him on when to turn around.
And 1, he's walking on your side. 2, 3. And hold it. 4. Okay, so that one was good. Now we're...
And this is the original shot that we referenced to. And
okay, it's reset.
Yep, so he blew his line on that one. So essentially what you're seeing is he says his line and he is acting to no one being there. And this was a bit tricky, and we're going to have to fix this in post, although I hate saying that word, because since we did not have a stand-in or somebody here to kind of help guide him, he undershot his rotation. So the main actor was standing about here in this vicinity, and when he walks around, he does not walk around far enough. So right now he's kind of overlapping him. So unfortunately, we're going to have to take this guy and shift him over once we get into After Effects, but you kind of get the whole point. So we had him here and we had him here, and he says his line. And that's that. And we got that nice cheeky smile. And in terms of audio, for the overall filmmakers out there that want to know how we captured the audio, you might be able to see our boom mic up there. So if you're wondering how we got the audio to sound so crisp and clean, that is because we had a boom mic boomed above them. And if you want to know which mic, we had the Rode NTG3 going into the Zoom H4n, just for anybody out there who was curious. So it's very simple. Put it on a tripod, film him and his reaction, just time everything accordingly. And then we have our second shot where he walks around him. Very simple. So I already went on ahead and exported this to a H.264 file. And so this is what we have inside of After Effects. That's not color graded. And so let's go on ahead and create a new composition and get started on this guy. Okay, so I just went on ahead and imported the 3 elements into our After Effects composition. So we have the 2 shots that I explained earlier, and I have a camera shake shot. And I'll mention what that does later on down the line in the tutorial. So right now I'm going to go ahead and create a new composition. And this shot was shot in 2.5K, but for the sake of, I want my computer to run slightly smooth for you guys, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a standard 1080p composition, not 720, 1080. There we go. Good job, Justin. So 23.976, and my goodness, come on, Justin. 1920 by 1080. There we go. Wait, that's right. 1920 by 1080. And square 23, blah, blah, blah. And we'll probably make this like 20 seconds long. All right, cool. So hit OK. Perfect. We got a nice composition. So I'm going to try to breeze through this because, to be honest, this tutorial is mainly going to be a lot of roto work and things like that. So if you guys are looking for a really advanced, exciting tutorial, this isn't it. And you're already here, so you might as well stick around. All right, anyways, back to the tutorial. So we have these two shots, and like I said, this is going to be a lot of just rotoscoping work because I already told you in the beginning what you have to do to get this done. It's just you just kind of have to use your brain to figure out where to rotoscope and where not to rotoscope. So we're just going to go ahead and import this shot in here. And let's see, let's scale this down. Actually, let's just do transform, fit to comp. And let's go ahead and start timing this up. And I believe he blows his line here. Yep, so he blows his line. So we'll start it right about here. So I hit Alt open bracket to create our endpoint. Bring it all the way to the beginning. Move it forward. And Alt close bracket to create our out point. And we were going ahead and go into our second shot. Just bring that, right click, transform, fit to comp. So now if we lower our opacity, which I just hit T on the keyboard to bring up our opacity, if we lower it, we can see there's a slight shift in the frame. See, it's kind of shifted a little bit. I don't know what we did, probably me being dumb. I probably moved the camera. So I'm just gonna go ahead and move this over just a little bit so they match. Let's see what we got. Okay, perfect. So they're virtually the same now, basically. So let's see what we're dealing with. Now we get to do the fun part of lining up their performances. So we already have this base shot. We already have this guy timed accordingly. So now we have to time this guy to this guy. So let's see. So let's actually bring up the opacity. Okay, so he resets and he starts turning. We might even have to do a bit of time remapping. So let's see what we're dealing with. Turn the opacity back to 50. We might even bring that. So we might even move that there. So bear with me, guys. This is just going to be a lot of timing. So if I don't have much to say, just know that I'm thinking a lot of stuff, if that makes you feel better. So really cool. And that's not completely timed right, but we could try to wing this. Let's see. So I want him to turn his head once he actually goes completely around his back. So let's see. And now he's completely behind him, and then he turns his head. He's like, man, what are you doing behind me? It's like, what you doing? Yep, and we can already see our eye line is off. So he should be looking at him right now, but he's actually looking right into the camera. So we're all sorts of messed up here. I just did a bad job directing these guys. So let's see what we got. Looks good. Turns around. Looks good, looks good. And it looks pretty good. So now, guys, that's the end of the tutorial. Just kidding, sort of kidding. My jokes aren't funny. So let's turn this up. So now it's the fun part. We get to do a whole lot of rotoscoping, which I'm not going to actually do in front of you guys because nobody would want to sit through that. So I'm just going to explain to you guys what you have to do, and I'll get started on it, and then that'll just essentially teach you guys how to do it, because I don't need to actually show you guys how to rotoscope because you guys probably already know how to do that. So this is just kind of the basis on how you guys can start doing this on your own projects. So the first thing we need to do, let's see what we got. Remember, guys, bear with me. I'm kind of touching on this for the first time in a long time. So The first thing we need to do is rotoscope this guy. We'll call him actor A, call him actor B. So actor A needs to be rotoscoped because he's the first one to walk in front of actor B. So we need to cut him out frame by frame. And then once he crosses over him in this area, then we'll stop rotoscoping him and we'll start rotoscoping him, because then he needs to be in front of him. So it's almost like a double rotoscope or dual rotoscope. So we roto him out first because he's in front of him. And then once he goes behind him, we'll switch it to him and then we'll start rotoscoping him. So then he can go behind him, if that makes any sense. So let's just pop back over to the original just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So first we're going to roto him out. And then right here we're going to switch to him and start rotoscoping him. And that's going to be a whole lot of fun. So, yeah, so let's start rotoscoping this guy. That'll be a lot of fun. So I'm just going to duplicate this, move it up, and let's get started. So I'm not going to actually roto this by hand because that's suicide. I'm going to use Rotobrush to kind of help me out. Hopefully Rotobrush will do me some good. So I'm going to turn this to full resolution, go into preview, change the resolution to full, and let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to hit this. We're going to highlight everything. Oh, and I forgot to mention this shot took me like 2 days to do. So there's that. If you guys thought this was going to be fun, you got another thing coming. Oh wait, frame rate mismatch, best roto results, blah, 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 blah. Sorry. Okay, so I just realized that the frame rate is off. So I'll just go into the composition, change this from 23 to 24 to match the source, because I guess Rotobrush needs you to do that. We'll cater to Rotobrush because it's doing the hard work for us. So we'll go ahead and set that. That's really nice. And if the shot looks different from you guys, that's because I just added a quick S-curve into that just to kind of help out Rotobrush in its processing and its propagation. So just bring this down, and this is just going to be a lot of dirty work, guys. It's, what you're seeing is what you get. And I'm not saying this is the efficient way. We didn't have a big enough crew for the green screen, so I had to fix it in post, aka rotoscope everything. So I'm not saying this is what you want to do, but if you feel like doing this, like popping some music in your head, what'd I just say? Popping music in your head? Put some music on Spotify. You guys use Spotify? Because I use Spotify. Okay. And this, oh yeah, this wasn't too fun because his hat is the same color as the background. Oh, this is bringing back memories. Not good memories. I didn't enjoy rotoscoping this shot. Just being real with you guys. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Okay. Next frame. Next frame. Okay, you know, I'm just going to do a really bad job just to get the job done. So I'm just going to hit spacebar and just let it do its thing. Well, like I always say, I would cut this part out, but you know, I'll just keep going. Hope you guys had a great day today. You guys doing anything cool? You know, for all I know, most of you guys are watching this at like 2 in the morning, because I know that's what I do. I kind of want to get to know you guys better. Leave a comment down below on how cool you are. Just be like, hey, I'm cool for this reason. Because you guys are all cool in your own ways. I'm not even joking. Comment down below something cool that you like to do. Okay, so that gets the point across. So I'm just going to go on ahead and move this over. And then, let's see. Let's go back here. I'm going to move this over. I'm not going to roto the whole shot like you normally would. So I'm just going to go on ahead and hit freeze. And if you guys are wondering what freeze does, the way I think about it is it basically freezes your roto layer. So you don't want to go and start doing some work and then you accidentally, let's say you double click on the layer panel and you start changing things. You start changing the color or you start altering your image. It's going to start altering the roto work that you had already done, the propagation that was already done. So when you lock it, you're essentially creating a matte almost. You're just locking the actual roto that you did down, which is good because sometimes, I don't know if it happens to you guys, but sometimes whenever I'm rotoscoping the traditional way, or doing a heavy keyframe animation project, I could be kind of dumb and I'll do all the animation, and then 3 hours later I realize that I never hit the stopwatch button. And I don't know if that happens to you guys, but it happens to me. It's not fun. So this, the way I think about it, it's like insurance. It just guarantees that your roto is nice and safe. And if it messes it up, then just go and, I don't know, cry, because that's what I do. So if we just solo this, we have this. We have this shot of him walking around him, and looks cool. And guess what? Look at that. And what I'm going to go ahead and do now is just apply that curves layer to this one, just so they kind of match up. Okay, so that looks pretty cool, but obviously there's a bit of a rough edge around him. It just doesn't look natural. So what we'll go ahead and do is fix that. I mean, this actually looks natural because the background that he's replacing is actually himself. But we'll just go ahead and go here, and I'll add effect, matte, refine soft matte, and that essentially just kind of softens his edge, which is really nice. So when he comes over here, he actually looks like he's on top of him. And that's actually not too good, but that's just due to poor rotoscoping work. But other things like this are going to look really nice. So that looks really good. Sorta, for our standards of a tutorial. So he's slowly going to start walking around him, which is really cool. But then he disappears because we never really finished the roto layer. And so this is what I mean by you guys would have to actually finish, because that would take too much time for me to actually finish rotoscoping him. So what you guys are going to need to do is rotoscope him all the way until he's completely around the other actor. So for me, that would be about right here. That's when I should have stopped rotoscoping. But for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just gonna not do that. Okay guys, so what I went on ahead and did is opened up my other project file, my original one that I rendered the shot out of, because it would just take too long for me to actually go on and do this tutorial in real time for you guys. So I'm just gonna kind of overview the rest of the tutorial, which is just as good because you guys don't actually need to see every click I do. It's just kind of an understanding, the way I think about it. Once you understand how to do the effect, it's very self-explanatory. At this point, you guys should have something that looks like this. You guys should have a completely rotoed out actor that walks completely around him and walks all the way around. And so now what you're going to need to go ahead and do is start rotoscoping the red clone. And the way you're going to go about doing that is the exact same way, because like I mentioned before, he was a little off-centered. He was a little too far this way. So this is, again, the time-consuming part. From the very beginning of your composition, start rotoscoping this clone and then move him forward, if that makes sense. So you're going to rotoscope him out like as seen here. Go through here. Oops, not that. Didn't mean to go there. Let me go back. Go here. As you can see on our red clone, he was rotoed. We did the levels, we did the refine matte, everything. And as you can see here on our composition, actually that's maybe not the best example. So right here you can see our layer is actually shifted a little bit to the left. So we could have had him stay in the middle, but due to the timing issues and everything we had on set, I had to shift him a little bit over this way. So once he is completely rotoscoped which like I said before, you roto him out, lock it and everything. Once that is done, you will have two compositions. You will have this one, and then you will have this one. And when I say this one, I mean you will have actor A in the black, and you'll have actor B. And so the next thing you would have to do is just kind of composite them, which is ultimately what you have to do, is just composite them to make them look like they actually fit into the scene. And then what I have is I have a background layer right here that is just that's just a clean plate. It's just nobody there. It's just a clean plate of the background. It just makes everything simple, and it covers up any patches that we would have. So that is our background plate. So as you can see, this officer is on top of this one. So this is layer 3 and this is layer 4, because this one, he is overlapping him. So the fun thing is, once he starts to overlap him, as you can see, the layer ends once I finished rotoscoping him out, so if we go into the pre-comp, it ends at about right here. So at 2:09, so we go in here. Actually, it's a totally different time code, but you see what I'm saying. So as of right here, right before he starts to overlap him, let me just go up a frame. So we stop using the rotoscoped layer and we delete that. Well, we don't delete it, but we just kind of erase it from here. And then we let the original background layer, which is this guy, take over, which would be him walking completely around. That may be a bit confusing, but just think about it like this. So we have him walking around. He's completely rotoscoped. And then the moment this layer ends, he disappears. But really what's happening is we have the background layer, which is actually him doing the original motion, comes in. So we have this, we have the actor, and boom. Originally he disappeared, right? Because the rotoscoping ended, but because we have the background layer, he doesn't actually disappear. He's just not going to be in front of the other actor. He's going to be behind him because it is just the original footage that we're messing with now. So with that being said, that is when this rotoscoped layer starts to become in front of this one. So now, as we play it forward, he is going to be overlapping this actor. So it's just kind of a play on compositing. You just have to have rotoscope it so he is in front. The moment he circles him, cut that layer off and just have that be the original layer. And then once he is now in front, that's when you would use his rotoscoped layer. And boom, now we have him in front of him. Now it doesn't look too good. The edges aren't too clean. That's because we are on like a really low resolution and I'm on fast draft. But if we looked at the full resolution quality, if you use the refined soft matte and everything, it should be really soft and really clean. And then you just let that overlap all the way through. And then in the original film, I cut once he gets right here. So that is essentially it. Once you do all that, you just have to kind of go through and do some touch-ups. Maybe you might have to rotoscope his fingers just a little bit more. As you can see, we have a little bit of an issue, which you can actually see in the final film if you guys noticed it. Unless you guys didn't notice it, then hooray. But that is essentially the way it goes. So I'm just going to run through it one more time because, again, it would be too long of a tutorial for me to actually sit here and do the process of this like I mentioned before. So I'm going to run through it one more time. So you have this original shot, like we said before. We have the shot of him walking around, which is great. But instead of using that one, we're going to be using this one, the rotoscoped version. But here's the thing. Actually, I'm just going to unsolo these. Actually, I'll just solo this one. Okay, so here is the rotoscoped layer. And like I mentioned before, once we get to this part, he cuts out because that's where we stopped rotoscoping. So the layer ultimately just disappears. But instead of it disappearing, that's when we bring in our background layer. So now he no longer disappears. He's just going to be behind this layer. And so now this guy is going to technically be in front of this guy because since we rotoscoped him, he's going to be sitting in front of this layer. So now we just bring that on over. And there you go. Now he's just completely walking all the way around him. And it looks pretty convincing. And then you'll end up with an effect like this.
Maybe I should, comrade. You just killed that cop back there, man. He was a wild stallion. He had 16 kids. I have to take you in, or else my boss will go crazy. But I'm confused. How am I a criminal and a cop?
And you know what the fun thing is, once you do a badass effect like that, you obviously have to throw on some badass color correction and throw on some pretty badass color correction, like saturation down to 24, an extreme S curve, you know, almost blow out the shot that you can't even see the work that you just did, and maybe make it really, really warm. And you know what, maybe it's a little too dark, so maybe brighten it up a little. No. Yeah, right there. That looks perfect. Yeah, right. Yeah, something like that. And yeah, oh my gosh, that looks great. It's a bit too underexposed for me. That's almost a little too dark. But you guys see what we're doing, and you throw on some really badass color correction, and you have a really cool shot. You know, this for my taste, this color correction is a little too dark, so I'm just gonna not throw anything on there. Just maybe make it regular. But you guys get the point. So throw on some cool color correction, obviously the sound design, and then that really sells the overall effect. And so that's how you come out with the scene where he's cloned. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it wasn't too confusing. Usually my tutorials are pretty, I like to break it down step by step. This is just one of those tutorials where it's better to just describe and explain than to do, because once you guys understand the process of doing this kind of effect, you can apply it to many different kinds of clone effects. But if I just sit here and click away and tell you what to do, it can get kind of confusing and you might not learn as much, and it would take about 3 hours. So we don't want to sit through that. So I hope this tutorial taught you guys something and you guys didn't get too bored or too confused. My name is Justin Melson with Happyfox Productions. Please feel free to subscribe to the Happyfox Productions YouTube channel for further tutorials, short films, and other additional content and film reviews. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.